Mr. Hilton, you may begin.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and all your colleagues for giving me the opportunity to be here today. My comments reflect both the policy work that I've done, that Mr. Kiley mentioned at my organisation Golden Together, specifically 2 reports which I'd like to draw your attention to, reducing California's carbon emissions through modern forest management, and secondly, water abundance. But my comments also reflect more recent conversations with firefighters in Los Angeles, retired firefighters across the state, and the victims of this disaster. And I have to say to the ranking member, those victims will be offended by the remarks we just heard, which were frankly outrageous and offensive, preposterously claiming that the regulations keep us safe. It is the regulations that put Californians in danger, as we have all been highlighting. It's described this disaster as a natural disaster. It is not a natural disaster. This was a man-made disaster, more precisely a Democrat-made disaster. That is not hyperbole. That is the only plausible explanation for the impact here. We are still waiting, of course, to understand the ignition, what precisely ignited these fires. But the impact, there's no question that it was the direct result of Democrat policy and Democrat appointments to the bureaucracies who implemented those policies. As we've been hearing, fire is a natural part of life in these areas that burned. That is not new. We have had fires for decades. We have had fire prevention for decades. But in the last 2 decades, that kind of sensible fire prevention was blocked by Democrat policy. We have heard a lot as we've watched these disasters unfold about containment. What does containment mean? It doesn't mean putting out the fires. It means clearing the perimeter, fuel management, fire prevention. That is what's actually happening. Bulldozers and firefighters with axes. There's a simple question. We can do that before these fire disasters, or we can do it after. The choice that Democrats have made is to force it to be done by our brave firefighters after the event instead of preventively beforehand. Let's be specific. There was an article in the New York Times about Philip and Claire Vogt, who designed and built one of the most fire-resistant homes in America on a peak in the Santa Monica Mountains. Quote, "For months, Philip had been volunteering to clear away the dead undergrowth on the parkland surrounding his property, but California officials told him he could be fined for meddling with a sensitive habitat." Who are these California officials? Number 1, CARB, the California Air Resources Board. In 2000, they issued new smoke management regulations that effectively prohibited the kind of controlled burns that were for decades before. As we were hearing, the California Coastal Commission prohibiting sensible fire prevention measures to save a Braunton's milkvetch shrub, which they claim is endangered. And worst of all, as we were hearing, the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, every single firefighter that I spoke to in Los Angeles said, what are these people doing, stopping us from taking the sensible steps to keep our communities safe? This is the direct result of overregulation. And I could go on. In 2020, Senate bill in the California legislature, SB 182, would have mandated fire prevention and resilience, including evacuation routes, vegetation management, fire-safe construction. It was vetoed by Governor Newsom. Here is a quote from his veto letter. "It fails to account for the consequences that could be sprawl." So yet again, you have sensible fire prevention blocked by overregulation because of ideology about the war on single-family homes that's being waged in California. On and on. Every single aspect of this disaster, the failures that led up to it, the failures of response, all of it the result of Democrat policy. Who else is there to blame? Who else has been in charge in Los Angeles and across the state of California in these years? So now we have some demands. We have demands from the people affected who never want to see this happen again. Number 1, any support from Congress for what's happened must include a requirement for their sensible, the common sense measures that we have outlined here and is in the policy reports that we put before you. Safeguards to make sure this money the federal money is spent properly, any money. Just as we saw with the 9/11 victim compensation, we need a special master appointed to make sure that money is not wasted. And finally, there is a bill on the desk of Governor Newsom right now for Trump-proofing California, even as he goes to the office and begs for help for his state. Surely a condition of any support must be for Governor Newsom to veto that bill.
Hi, this is Sharon reporting from Bad News Media. Thanks for subscribing to our channel and giving us a thumbs up. We really appreciate your support. Please feel free to leave us a comment and share this video with your friends. Thank you.